Hello and welcome to the Wednesday, May 27th, 2026 edition of the SANS Internet Storm Center's Stormcast. My name is Johannes Ulrich, recording today from Jacksonville, Florida. And this episode is brought to you by the SANS.edu Graduate Certificate Program in Penetration Testing and Ethical Hacking. Well, let's start today with a little bit of different spin on AI. In this case, it's actually, not really AI at all. It's just a fake Claude AI download page that is being used by attackers to install the ACR stealer. ACR stealer has been around for a while. It's sort of your standard info stealer, stealing credentials and the like, often also considered sort of a malware as a service where attackers will install it and then basically sort of provide also the malware and the credentials to the actual organization behind these attacks. Now, the organizations that are sort of renting or buying ACR stealers, they have then to find a way for users to actually install it. And in this particular case, well, they went with Google Ads, the good old and proven method to trick users to install software. When you're searching for Claude, you may actually end up with a malicious code, in this case with the info stealer. The download page, well, the domain looks nothing like Claude, like the one that Brad found here is fairpoint29.com, but there are likely many others, similar ones out there as well. But the look and feel of the page, of course, does match the official Claude page. So unless someone looks at the URL, they may not necessarily notice that they are on a malicious page. And Microsoft actually surprised late last week with a surprise update for SharePoint. This SharePoint patch does patch a remote code execution vulnerability. It does affect all currently supported versions of SharePoint. And yes, it's another deserialization vulnerability. We had like the big one last year with the view state. Not sure how this is exactly exploited, but Microsoft rates the exploitability as low complexity, so relatively easy. However, an attacker must have credentials to log in. So essentially what this means, any logged in user, any user with credentials is able to execute arbitrary code on the server. This is certainly not good, in particular since it only takes one user to lose their credentials. And sometimes you also have sort of some read-only users or such like external users that you provided with very limited access to your SharePoint site and don't necessarily completely trust them or trust them how they handle their credentials. Well, yet another sort of issue that Visual Studio Code users have to worry about. This time, it's not malicious extensions, but vulnerabilities in existing extensions. There's also a little bit sort of a recurring issue when it comes to these extensions, that extensions are often able to execute code in some form. Well, if they're then being used to look at untrusted documents and such, that's sort of where the problem happens. In this particular example, the extension is the Angular Language Service Visual Studio Code extension. If you have this loaded and you're loading a project with a malicious settings file, or you're using it to look at a malicious JS doc file, well, that's sort of where the remote code execution happens. Essentially, this extension is not properly escaping all of the special characters in files that it may load, and as a result, you have remote code execution. Like I said, this is not the first time we had sort of vulnerabilities like this in extensions, and it always sort of comes down to the same pattern that you have a vulnerable extension, then you're opening a project in Visual Studio Code that takes advantage of these vulnerabilities. One of the big things to be a little bit concerned about is if you're opening any projects, in particular, sort of to just sort of blindly adopt whatever settings and such they're sending you. So you may want to review them or maybe just sort of start over from scratch and don't like import settings for Visual Studio Code that were configured by someone else that you may or may not trust. And then we also got patches for the DNS server bind. Now, there are a number of vulnerabilities being addressed here, but one that I think is sort of interesting is a heap use after free vulnerability. It can cause memory corruption, so there is a potential of remote code execution, but I don't think it's really likely that this is usually happening in situations like that. The root issue here is, well, the support for DNS over HTTPS in more recent versions of Bind. I think 9.18 was the first one where this was sort of officially introduced as a feature. And 9.18 is actually not vulnerable. It's only 9.20 and 21 that's vulnerable here to this particular issue. And it does affect the HTTP2 implementation here, which, well, a lot of web servers and such had also issues with HTTP2. It's not an easy protocol to implement correctly. And I'm not sure if Bind uses a standard library or something they created themselves for HTTP2. Well, and this is it for today. So thanks for listening, and thanks for liking this podcast. Thanks for recommending it. And if you have any feedback, anything I should have covered, anything I should not have covered, well, please let me know. Thanks, and talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.